Hello everybody and welcome back to another Iris tutorial video. In this session we are going to talk about creating schedules for any structures that you create within Iris. In the last video we created this little back wall structure here, threw some panels in and created a counter with some shelf clips and an inside shelf as well as a countertop. And now that we have all this, we're going to generate a schedule for this, or if you're an XZWare user, this will be very similar to running an extract. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So we have all of our structure here and everything seems to be ready to go. So I'm going to bring up, well, first things first, I'll type in Iris just to make sure that Iris is loaded. And we'll type in IHK to bring up our hotkeys menu. Now the function that we're going to be interested in for this part is ISS, and I'm going to find it here real fast so you can see what it stands for. And ISS stands for Iris Schedule, and what this does is it creates a schedule of all of the parts and all of the attributes that are associated with it. So this will give you all of your pricing, all of your weights, your colors, and any other types of notes that need to be forwarded on to production or the account executives to generate pricing and parts lists. So since we have this window up, I'm just going to double click on ISS, and down here in the bottom left hand corner it's going to ask you if you want to redo an extract. Now this happens whether or not you've already generated one, so we're going to go ahead and set yes. And the next option that comes up is if you want to select all objects in the model space, or if you want to select just a certain type. And this is pretty helpful if you have a much larger project where you may have copies of your structure spaced out for better viewing for detailing. But since we have a simple structure here, we're just going to go ahead with the default, which is all, and hit enter. The next option that comes up is if you want to duplicate this extract, which comes in handy if you want to have multiples of something. So say you have one counter that's designed in here. We'll just pretend this guy right here is just the one counter that I'm talking about, and you want to have 10 of them. So this is where you would enter 10 if you wanted to do 10 of them. If you want to do 20 of them, you could do 20, but just for the sake of this demonstration we're just going to do one, just keep things simple, and we'll move on. Now once you hit enter, everything will start generating, and I'll bring up my command line window so you can see what it's doing. It's going through every single block part through here and is generating generating all of the information that's associated with it. Now you don't have to have this window open. I'm just showing you what's going on in the background while this is working. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and let it go ahead and run through. Once it's done, down at the bottom here, it'll ask you if you want to export send to shop files. And for this, we're going to go ahead and say yes. With the send to shop files, what that allows you to do is use, I'm going to minimize this AutoCAD window here real quick. It'll allow you to use this Iris S2S shortcut up here to forward this along to production. I'm going to go ahead and bring up another Windows Explorer window real fast and show you where these files are exporting out to from Iris. So if you open up a window and go to your C drive and go to Iris and go to S2S, if you look here you will see these text files that have generated, one for art panels, one for exhibit requirements, one for accessories, one for metal, one for non-metal, which is just all of our non-art panels, and one for other items. Once you click this Iris S2S, it will forward this all out into the system, both into OLP, and it'll also create a graphic order if there are any graphics that need to be generated from the graphics department for this project. Now you don't need to look at this every single time to make sure that it's actually running this. We just wanted to make sure that everything is running to the correct location. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this window and bring AutoCAD back up, and we can move on. Now that we're back in AutoCAD, we're going to go through some of these paperspace tabs and you can see exactly what has happened when you run ISS. So in isometric view nothing's really changed, and plan view nothing has changed, floor plan nothing has changed, But once you get over to the metal view, you're going to notice up here in the upper right hand corner that we have a report that's come through. And I'm going to bring this down here and get out of paperspace. Actually, before I do that, let me just zoom this out and just turn a couple things off. We're going to go ahead and freeze these layers. We'll freeze all the panels so we don't see them, because this one will be mainly just for metal itself. And I'll go ahead and get the carpet and the grid out of here as well. And there we go. This is everything that we need here for the metal. Now that we have our view set up the way that we want it, first things first, make sure that you're actually in paperspace and not in model space. You can either do that by clicking off to the side here, or you can simply type in PS for paperspace. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and bring this report in. We're going to type M for move, select this, and bring it right on down here. And all of the metal pieces that are associated with this project are going to be in this report. And if I zoom in here, you'll be able to see that any of the parts that we had referenced in the last drawing, or excuse me, in the last video, are all in here too. I'll zoom back out. Since the metal view looks good, we're going to go ahead and move on to some of the other tabs. If we go into panel color view, we have something very similar. And let me just turn the carpet off here. And this has all of our panels that are in the project. I'll type in PS to get out of model space and get back into paperspace. And just like we had in the metal view, we have these reports that have generated up over here. I'll bring these down into the drawing just by moving them and clicking them down into here. I'll take this and move this over so we can kind of get a good idea of what we need, where we need it. Now, with the way I have this set up in Iris right now, is that it automatically brings up accessories in with the panel color view. There are times where we're going to have accessories in here, such as standoffs or anything that's really relevant to the graphics. But since we don't need this, because everything that's in here is going to be for the shelf clips, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this. And we'll take art panels, move it over here. We'll take non-art panels and move it over here. Now, as you can tell, I'm running a little long and I'm running out of room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of these and scale them. Get my pickup point here for my O-snap. And we're going to scale these down to 75%. And this is about the smallest you're going to want to go with these. Take these and bring them down here to the bottom and try to make the drawing as large as you can here in the viewport. And I think that looks pretty good. Now that we have panel color view set up and ready to go, we're going to move on to the next one, which is countertops and shelves. And we're going to be turning off quite a bit of stuff for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the metal. And I'll get rid of the carpet as well. Oops, missed one. There we go. And I'll type paperspace to get out of that. And just like before, we have the report up here for countertops and shelves. And I'll just drop this down here into the drawing. Once that's done, I'm going to go back in and zoom in a little bit more on these countertops and try to fill up as much of the viewport as I can without creating any mergers or overlapping with the reports. Once you're happy with the way they look, you can hit PS to go ahead and bring you back into paperspace. Moving on to the next one, we have two views here, one for perspective 1 and one for perspective 2. And this is primarily set up for any larger projects where the client might want to be able to look at a few things from a few different angles. I still have this in parallel, but if you have a navigator cube up here, you can actually right click on it and switch it to perspective. And as you can see, what it does is it actually gives you a little bit of a vanishing point off in the distance. So we'll take this and we'll bring it in as close as we can. And we'll move on to the next one. Do the same thing. And we'll just rotate it so we can get a little bit of a different view. Zoom it in as best as we can. And we're all set. Now, something to remember with the perspective views, these are just to view the project itself. There's not going to be any reports that go on here. You can put any kind of notes or annotations if you want by using either the text command or the mtext command. But because this is a simple project for demonstration, we're going to go ahead and skip that part. The last page that we have as far as what we're going to be sending off to the client and to the account executive is the legend page. And just as I did with the other ones, every single part that is in this drawing is going to be generated into those reports that I just moved over here. So if you remember any of the names of the parts that were put in on the last drawing, any of the panels of the metal or anything like that, everything is generated into these reports right here. So I'll go ahead and zoom back out, and that takes care of the legend page. Moving on to the next one, this is the report page, and this is the first of 3 pages that we don't send out to the client. What this is it takes all of the parts and everything that we have and gives us a cost associated with them that is actually our cost in order to manufacture them. One of the reasons, the big reason that we don't want to send this out to the client is that all of these costs that are associated with it are costs that need to be marked up by the account executive. So make sure that the report, the labor code, and the summary report do not go out into the drawing when you publish these out. We can publish these out separately for a summary sheet, but we want to make sure that these don't go out with the drawings. Moving on to the next one, we've got our labor report, and what this does is it has any labor codes that are associated with any of the parts. And if you remember in the last video, we had some panels that had a labor code L1, which just stands for a standard rigid panel. What this does is it takes all of these labor codes and takes the time that's associated with them and throws them over into a time report. Now, the reason why it doesn't generate cost is because these labor times are associated with whatever a shop's rates are to create something, as well as the install and dismantle labor rates are for each individual venue that these go to. So it's not really possible for us to go in and calculate that all the time because, one, there are easily hundreds if not thousands of venues across the country that we cover. Those rates also change, and it's almost impossible for us to keep those costs in mind when doing this. To summarize that up, basically what we're doing is we're providing time, and the account executive will be able to take these times and apply it to the rates that they have in their database that go to a specific shop in order to create them, and for the venues in order to install and dismantle them. And moving on to our last one is our summary page. Now what this is a summary of everything that we have in the drawing, and it breaks it down into subtotals. This will give us the parts, this will give us the cost associated with anything that is sales related. So this would be something for like a countertop or a piece of custom metal or an art panel that we can't restock and resell. It's basically, I don't want to say it's damaged, but it's something that we can't sell because it's been modified. The rental aspect is all of the metal that we're able to take out of our inventory and bring back in, as well as some countertops and some panels that we can bring back. And the panels, the next one here, panel rentals, is specifically for panels. Everything down here, all the way from pre-shop to dismantle, is all time, and we covered that about a minute or two ago. This has everything to do with our labor codes, as well as our our standard pull and prep times associated for pulling parts in and out of our inventory. The pre-shop is for pulling anything out of our inventory. The fabrication has that's a cost associated with our labor codes. The post-shop is the cost that it would be to re-inventory or restock the parts once they're done. The install is the amount of minutes it'll take for someone on site to install it, and the dismantle is the amount of time that it'll take for them to basically tear everything down and repack it. The very last thing that we have here is our weight, and this is a cumulative weight of the entire project itself. Now, one last thing that I wanted to show you before we move on to the next video is the very first page in paperspace, which is going to be our isometric view. In the isometric view, we always label the art panels, basically because this is the first page that our clients are going to see, and we want them to know where they're going to see art panels. So we're going to shift over to the panel color view here real fast and grab art panels, and we're going to copy it, go back to the isometric view, and paste it right back in here. And now we'll be able to have something to reference once we start labeling the project. Now that all of our paperspace tabs have the reports pulled into the viewports and into the paperspace viewing area, I think this is probably a good time to go ahead and take a little break. We're going to go ahead and stop this video, and in the next video we're actually going to cover how to label these parts. As always, if you have any questions or comments about anything that I've discussed in this video, feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call and we can discuss it further. Likewise, if you encounter an error or something that is a specific nature that I can't replicate on my end, we can always go into TeamViewer through your account and I can look at your screen in real time. If there's a problem that I'm not able to solve with this, we can always take this and send it off to the developer in order to get a quick fix. With that said, that brings this video to a conclusion. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.